Hello, I'm Amy Richardson of Richardson Professional Solutions, where we provide back office solutions for small businesses. And today I'm bringing some value to you by meeting one of our local community members. I'm going to give him a chance to introduce himself, Phil.
Why, thank you, Amy. My name is Phil Stanley. I own Brightworx Media. I'm a video producer that's been born and raised here up in Augusta. I love it. Been a big fan of downtown Augusta before it was cool to be a fan of downtown Augusta. So I'm excited to be here.
All right, sounds great. So do you want to tell us a little bit about Brightworx, what you do, how you got started?
Sure. So, video was a hobby for me first. I had no intentions of being a professional videographer or cinematographer or video producer, whatever you want to label it. Everybody has their own special label they like to throw on someone who does video. Right. Video guy's my favorite. Like, just throw that out there. Everybody, they say what they want.
So you were doing this as a passion project for funsies, right? So what made you transition into doing this as a business?
Well, that's actually, I never anticipated it being a business. It was just for fun. But the very first project that I took seriously, it was 2009. My grandfather had a terrible battle with cancer, and he passed away in May of 2009. And when he did, I didn't grieve like most people grieve. I think there's not really a right or wrong way to grieve, but the way that I processed it is I locked myself into our church's studio, pulled out all the tapes and archives of my grandfather who pastored here for 46 years. So we had a lot of tapes. Mm-hmm. And I cut together for like 2 days straight. I cut together a memorial video for him. And it was really like just different things. It wasn't exactly the most beautiful video I've ever made. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have the equipment. I was jerry-rigging everything I could to make it happen. But what ended up happening is I had a video that had sermon clips and home video and emotional songs attached to it. And it was when we showed that at his memorial service, there's 500 people there. And I'll never forget the feeling of watching everybody else experience the project that I had designed. They watched it and they cried when they were supposed to. They laughed when they were supposed to. And you just watched them go through this emotional journey. And I was hooked. There was nothing like that. It was so invigorating to watch people just go through an experience that you were able to design. And they walked away. It wasn't just that they went through an experience. It was a story that they could walk away with a deeper appreciation for who my grandfather was. A lot of those folks knew him as a pastor, but they didn't know him as granddaddy. They didn't know that he was, one of the coolest grandfathers anybody could ever hope for. You know what I mean? Like literally let a, 5 or 6 year old go in there and help cook breakfast, fried eggs. You got to teach him how to do grits, right? All the things and all these different moments that they may have known about, but they got to see it. And they got to, by watching that, they were able to experience a little bit more depth to his life. And so I was hooked from that point forward. I knew that I wanted to tell stories, and I knew that I wanted to be able to invoke that kind of emotion in the projects that I made. So I completely upended what I was going to do. I changed my major at AU. And fortunately, at that time, they had a really, really great film department. It was a television and cinema department. Matt Bazell and Rick Pukas, they were the two leading instructors, and they changed my life because they were able to help affirm what I already was doing. They never told me, hey, you're doing this wrong. Rick Pukas especially, like I learned so much about editing, and I learned so much about what I was doing instinctively. He then took and polished it into, yeah, you can do this professionally. And they catered to my strengths, and they helped me bring up my weaknesses. And so I knew that I wanted to marry that entrepreneurial spirit with the creativity that I had found. And so, yeah, I worked a lot of other jobs and ultimately was able to launch full-time doing video production for Brightworx Media in 2016. That's when I went full-time into it.
Wow, that's exciting. So thinking about all of the projects that you've been able to bring that passion to since 2016, what have been a couple of your favorites?
In some ways, I can't ever look at a project that's done. There's a perfectionism in me that I look at projects as this is what they are now, but I have literally gone back and revisited stuff. But the truth is that there have been a couple of them that stand out as, okay, this is really fun and this really kind of works. And those moments are special. And I think for me, 2019, I got the opportunity to work with Golden Harvest Food Bank, and I made a video with them, and they have an awesome team there. Like, they already have a phenomenal marketing department. So they didn't need me to come in there and tell them, okay, this is what you got to do. This is how you got to do it. I literally just listened to what they had. Like, they had this case study that they wanted to highlight, and we were able to make a 60-second commercial that I still think is probably one of the best I've ever made. And it really just tells a story. That's the whole point of it. It's a narrative project. And it shows a grandmother struggling to help feed her grandson through like the trials of life. They're going through a whole lot. And in 60 seconds, I think that most everybody who watches that has a much better appreciation for someone who would be put in that position, but also it's got a realism to it that hits home. And so I think that one probably embodies like that emotional side of like, okay, this really, this tugs on the heartstrings the right way. And they were very gracious. They said that it performed really well. Like, they did all the metrics and they tracked it and they said it did really good. So that's awesome. But that one, and then I had another one that I really liked as well. And it's because I got to do potty humor without doing potty humor. So yeah, that was fun. Like, we did a porta potty commercial.
Oh,
and
that's fun.
yeah, the porta potty commercial, when you get sat down and asked, okay, how can you make this without doing the obvious terrible humor? That was one of the most creative projects we've gotten to do. And we did it. Like, we didn't make it, crude or anything like that. We walked away with a really great, beautiful project that I think really did really well. So
in the urgency of the moment, finding the art and beauty of the situation can seem like a faraway goal with insurmountable obstacles. Let us make the job a little easier. Give us a call today.
Those are a couple of really nice ones that I enjoyed. And then, of course, there's dozens of more opportunities I've had and been blessed with. Every chance I get to work with Augusta University, I love doing that. I've been able to make a few really cool movies for them. And, I look forward to the next one.
All right. So for the other business owners out there that aren't particularly looking to pull on the heartstrings or have potty humor, how do you think you can help them and maybe ease them into the world of incorporating video in their marketing?
Great question. So, yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that we make you cry, or it doesn't have to be something we make you laugh. Sometimes it's enough to just have an authentic story told. And I think that that's really the key to any of it, honestly, is that every project should have authenticity as its core. If it gets way too outlandish, then people will tune it out. That's just, we're so inundated with different advertisements, and it doesn't necessarily have to even be commercials. It could be literally like print ads or billboards or any other kind of ad, all the different information that we're just slammed with every day. That authenticity right now is at a premium. People want to have something they can connect with. They want to be able to develop a relationship. And I think that's ultimately what the goal should be, is just make friends. That should be our goal as business owners, is trying to make friends so that we can help them. If we go about it in that manner, I think we find more success. So, the truth is that I can work with just about anybody. And the first steps to that is always just to get together and figure out what their goals are. What is the vision of that company? What's the mission of that company? And usually we just dig down into the core values and figure out, this is what they're operating from. How can we highlight those values? And It can be funny, it can be serious, but mostly we just want to be real about what we're presenting. We don't want to put on a front.
Right. That's great. So if they did want to get started, tell us quickly a little bit about timeline and maybe a budget to keep in mind. So
budgets are tricky because every film project, there could be similarities to other ones, but really gets down to complexity. If I have to go hire a cast, if I have to go, rent a space, like if I have to go get a houseboat, I don't know, make up something. You know, we need to have a, you know, I know that you have always wanted to do a commercial for your business that has a Ferrari, right? Yeah. You just want to be running down the road in a convertible. I have to go get that. So if I'm having to do that, the budget could be really high. You know, you don't want to do a commercial in a Ferrari. I can't believe you. Why do you hate me? No, it's fine. So the truth is that there's different budgets for each project. You have to be able to evaluate what the project demands. And that is the upfront conversation we have. But in terms of like onboarding, it really comes down to what I've already got on schedule. Usually I need about a couple of weeks to at least get the pre-production started. If someone was in a huge hurry for something, we could probably arrange it, but it's always best to have at least 4 to 6 weeks planning out front. I think that gives everybody a lot more comfort leading up to the project. And there's exceptions to every rule. Like I know that I literally filmed an event the other night. I had to film a lecture series that came up pretty quickly, and that event was already set in stone. Of course, we can accommodate those kind of projects, but when you're looking at a creative project, it's probably best to go ahead and plan on, you know, probably 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. Well, it's been great learning more about you and Brightworx and how you help our community, how you got started. So tell everybody watching how they can get in touch with you to get their next video.
Well, you can reach out to me on my email, connect@brightworxmedia.com, or my cell phone number, 706-799-9400. As you're well aware of, I will basically meet anybody anytime for coffee. So that could be morning, noon, or night. And of course, as we have come to enjoy, if you just want to go have a breakfast at Waffle House, that could be a thing. That's how we normally do it. So we could probably arrange that too.
All right. Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and hopefully we'll connect again soon.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me play around too.